All right. A few weeks ago, we started talking to everybody about this renovation project. And Ron and Mike both said that the details to follow. Well, we'll leave the details to the engineer, right? So that'll be me. In this brochure, you'll find a pledge card. So this pledge card basically has all the information that you need in order to give the church the idea of what it is that you'd actually like to pledge. On the one side, we've got your name and phone number and email address. This is intended to be anonymous. No one's going to look at that other than somebody on the finance side. Most likely our comptroller. And if you don't know who a comptroller is, that's the person that actually does all the work. They don't get to do the glamorous thing like me, like coming up on stage and just talk. They actually have to do the work. They write all the checks. They deal with all the bills and all that. And that's going to be important as we go along here. I've only got 65 slides and about an hour and a half of your time here. So once you've actually filled this in, what we would like you to do is get it to the church. So you can either put it in the donation box at the back of the church. If you can't be here physically, at the back of this brochure is everything that's on that donation card. So you can scan that at home, fill it out, print it out, email it to the donate at lakeviewheightsbaptist.com. And Sherry, our comptroller, will get that information, and she's the one that's actually tallying all that stuff up. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that our preferred way of receiving donations is actually by e-transfer. And if you've never done an e-transfer, you might also be still using a rotary phone. But if you have done any e-transfers, you've probably seen something like this, right? And this is a example. That's the TD. It's the one that Barb and I use. But what I'd like to do is to focus in on the center part there. As soon as you actually put in the email address of Lakeview Heights, you're going to see something like this that says auto deposit is enabled. So what that means is no one at the church actually has to say we accept it. It's just going to come straight in, goes into the bank account, and then somebody, Sherry, has to figure out who actually sent the money. And that's where the hassle starts to come in. So what we're asking everybody to do when they donate this way is to actually put in the message box your envelope number and then say how you want that money spent or where you want it to go. So if you don't put anything but your envelope number, we're going to assume that it's going into the general budget. If you want it to actually go towards this project, then you're going to have to put something in there that actually says that. Oh, back up, right? So something like the roof rental project, how much of your donation is, the amount that you've submitted, it's actually going to go into that. So the envelope number is really important. We've got a group of people that count. And one of the things that they have to do is try to figure out, when money gets put into the box at the back of the room, who actually gave that money. And if you were a regular giver, you probably have this envelope number. And that actually helps us figure out how to get you a receipt for tax purposes at the very end of the year. Now, if you don't put it in there, then people have to go through a list and see if your name's on the list. And then if you don't have this envelope number, then they may not have your address and all kinds of problems. Basically, it creates a whole bunch of work for people. So because I'm trying to keep Sherry's life as easy as possible, please put an envelope number on if you guys are doing this. Now, the next question is, why is it called an envelope number? And that is because before the internet, we used to do this. We had envelopes. And so these things were printed off and actually had numbers actually pre-printed on them. So if you're still using envelopes and you still know what a check is, this is the other way you can do it. Is you basically write your check, you put it in your envelope, you drop it in the box, all is good. We have, and when we do this, there's also this line called other. And so the same thing, we want you to actually tell us where you want your money to go. All right, so if you don't have an envelope number, write to that email address, donate@lakeviewbaptist.com, and we'll get you one if you want one. If you want to be completely anonymous, don't bother, and we'll see where your money ends up. The last thing that's happening every once in a while is we have people come into the church and they just want to use the debit machine and just make a donation. So right now we have no really great way to keep track of that because all of these envelopes get saved. They're actually the confirmation that we have at the end of the year to make sure when we're going through all the receipts and all of a sudden there's $100 somewhere, we can go back and look at all these envelopes and figure out where, you know, who actually put that $100 in or whatever it was. So when we come in and someone actually wants to donate the money right at the front office, what I'm going to suggest is that we grab an envelope, there'll be one around the church here somewhere, write in all the information, and then we'll write on it office debit, and then that'll go in with everything else, and so we can keep track of where that money is coming from right now. All right, I think that's just about it. I've done my 65 slides in my hour-and-a-half presentation, so thank you.